Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thanks a lot, Yongsikok, for inviting me and also the organizers here to this wonderful conference. Yeah, learning from nature using plant bionics to ensure a sustainable environment. When reading my title again and again, I was not sure whether bionics is the correct phrase, but I would like to do this, the title as sexy as possible, of course. So let's see what it is. When you look at cities and you look at urban water bodies, and especially here in Seoul, we have a really good example how to transfer a highway into a nice water body, even if I learned that meanwhile the guy constructing this is in prison. So I hope that we are not going the same way. But anyway, we look at, when we put water in the city, we look at urban microclimate, urban development, urban well-being, urban life, urban tourism, and urban marketing, because of course water in the city is something which is important for them. If you look at the urban water cycle, it's a little bit different from the natural one, because we have, of course, these stormwater drains which flush everything from the street, from the house surfaces into directly our surface water bodies. And normally these stormwater drains are not really cleaned up before it reaches the surface water, so everything which is flushed down there is ending up in our water bodies, and that might be not very positive for them. So what we did is since I arrived in Finland at the University of Helsinki, we were just thinking a little bit on stormwater and what is stormwater and how we can clean it up in an efficient and good way to save our water bodies. And you know, as Finland is very, very concerned on the lakes and water bodies. So we have different types of chemicals which are actually threatening our water, and this is everything which goes down the drain. So it's polyaromatic hydrocarbons, PCBs, it's detergents, heavy metals, nutrients, salts, pesticides, pharmaceutical residues, and of course nutrients, pesticides, suspended sediments, and of course microplastic, the height of the topic we have at the moment. Everything goes in the drain system, and as you can see, it's not very positive. It's a little bit frightening as well. So when these chemicals arrive our water bodies, the water quality changes drastically normally, and it's not getting better, it's getting more worse, of course. So even some toxic chemicals will arrive to our lakes and rivers. So what to do? There's a possibility of these low-impact development systems, so cleaning up the water directly at the site where it happens, and the systems I will show you in a few seconds are just in this topic of low-impact development systems, and I try to phrase it again in a very nice way. It's green liver and plant yields. That's a little bit confusing, and if you Google green liver systems, meanwhile you end up at sites which are coming from my research, but in former times you end up at a site which shows you really weird chicken disease, which is coloring the liver of a chicken green. We have nothing to do with that. We do environmental purification. And plant yields, yeah, plants normally don't have yields, but I will show you how we can transform plant or plant materials in filtering microplastic out of our water bodies. So since my PhD, I'm working on this green liver concept and comparing the enzymatic composition of livers with those of plants, and during that time we find that we have same or similar biotransformation enzymes, so the detoxification systems are pretty similar from our livers to plants. We have similar metabolic pathways, and the only difference is that plants normally don't go to the toilet. So they can't get rid of them, so what they are doing with the metabolites they produce during the biotransformation, they store it in vacuoles in the apoplast, or even they use it as building blocks in cell wall components. when we give a short example, we use diclofenac, for example. You know, when you have pain, and we just pass by this nice gym area, so when you exaggerate at this gym area and you have some pain, you take diclofenac to get rid of that, and we just try to see what a plant is doing with this painkiller, and I am not believing that plants can really feel pain, so what is a plant doing with that? And it's doing just the same like humans, it's metabolizing it. And before metabolizing it, I would like to show you the plants I'm working on, because normally you can't see them so good. They are aquatic plants. Plants underwater, submerged plants, and they are beautiful. They are nice, different structures. We have bryophytes, we have ferns, we have higher plants which are living there, and I try to use these plants for remediation purposes. So what we did is we just tried to learn how plants are doing that, and with that we proceed with very simple and basic experiments on uptake, for example, of these diclofenac into plant materials. We just did the analysis then with modern LC-MS techniques to see whether these chemicals are really in the plant, how they are metabolized in the plant, and when we look at the results, you can't read it, I guess, but there's a lot of plant names. At the moment, we have a list of 168 different plants, and you can see here on this uptake of diclofenac into plant material that not every plant can do the same. We have some plants who can do it very well, and we have some other plants who are a little bit poor in that. So what we have to do is just to learn which plant we can use for our purpose we have, maybe for the removal of diclofenac from water bodies. So of course we would select plants which are good in this uptake, in the metabolization, and leave out plants which are a little bit poorer in that. So also what we are looking at is how these substances is metabolized and which kind of biotransformation enzymes are working on that. So example for these diclofenac, we look at cytochrome P450, we look at GSTs, glutathione S transferases, we look at these metabolic pathways to really see where these metabolites are going into the plants, where we can find them, and for how they are transformed in this plant material. So with that, we look at uptake, we look at biotransformation, metabolization, we look at long-term storage and recycled possibilities to make it more round. And with that, we developed systems like those. We started, of course, with the lab to have tanks with plants, and then we just try to see how they can remove toxic chemicals. Meanwhile, we have some systems here in a little river in Germany. We have big systems for the removal of pharmaceuticals and cyanobacterial toxins, as well as hormones in a tilapia farm in the north of Brazil. We have a small system also tested here in Korea, and then we have some ideas what we are doing. We have a system which is suitable for space. When you think on the Mars missions, they can't take the water with them, so they have to recycle the water. This is a green liver system which might be usable on that. We have built these systems into a truck to be a mobile water purification system, and we are also thinking on doing that together with some Korean colleagues in the marine system, because I love sushi, and of course the salmon farming is not very environmentally friendly at the moment. So maybe we can use marine algae as well to get rid of pharmaceuticals from water phases. So that's green liver systems. As you see from the beginning, we have all these chemicals, and one of them is, of course, popping out again, and it's the microplastic. That's something which a plant, maybe depends on the size, again, cannot really take up, but it's important because we have it in our water bodies, we have it in these storm waters, we have it for sure, we have it in soil systems as well, and how to get rid of that. because everyone is complaining on microplastic, but few people are really thinking on how we can get rid of these microplastics. And for that, we just looked at plant gill systems. So we just see what fish gill is doing, and the fish gill is very efficient in just getting the oxygen out of the water that the fish can survive. And we just try to see that this structure is very, very nice in filtering, and we thought we can just build something with plant-based material working a little bit in that direction. So what we used is coconut fibers, we used loofah pads, we used cotton wool in form of old t-shirts, so we use old t-shirts as well for a different purpose, and we also used ute sacks, ute fibers from coffee bags. So this material, as you can see, some of them is waste material, some of them is regrowable material, and with this we try to build up a plant-based filter for microplastics. Microplastics. When you look at the internet, it's defined by which is smaller than 5 millimeters, but there is no lower amount. There is nothing which tells me when microplastic stops and when nanomaterial begins. So what we took is we used spherical microbeads, 5 to 10 micrometers. We used fibers from fleece jackets, 3 to 10 millimeters, and we used drill-off of plastic caps from normal water bodies, which were 1 to 5 millimeters. The microbeads are smooth and spherical. The fibers are fibers, as you can see, and then we have irregular shaped plastic material. We used columns or column experiments and to see when these materials will be flushed out of the columns using these different filter materials, these plant-based filter materials. With the microbeads, we used luminescence that you can see here on that side. And you can very nicely see the movement of the plastic peaks through the color. So with that, we can determine breakthrough points. When does, for example, the microplastic come out of the column? This gives us a little bit an overview how good is the filtering material, can be used for that. When you look at the results, it depends a little bit on the material itself, but 61 to 98% is the rate which the material is able to keep the plastic in the column. It depends, of course, on the plastic itself, microbeads and fleece fibers and plastic drill caps, and of course, as bigger the material is, as better is the filtration. But we are also targeting these very, very small ones to see how good is our filter system with that. Then we try to combine, of course, these plant gills with green liver systems. So we have these filter systems with coconut fibers, for example, and then we have our normal green liver system, and that's really targeting storm water. So not only microplastic, but also soluble xenobiotics. And we used in that experiment diclofenac and a mix of microplastic. And yes, diclofenac is binding on the surface of microplastic as well. But anyway, we try to see how we can remove these two compounds from water. When you look at the diclofenac, that was a removal of 88% in a system like that. And the microplastic, it comes out, the small particles, the microbeads comes out with time, with 60 hours, but still there's a relatively good retention on these plastic types. At the moment, I think we are the only one which can really remove diclofenac from water bodies in a good way. 88% is not bad, and we can just try to enhance this removal by optimizing the different plants. We are using for this green liver system at the moment 3 different plant species. That is very practical because otherwise you run up into problems with allelopathy, and some plants are not liking other plants. So that's then a bit of a problem, and we see that with 3 plants it's quite optimal to work with. Okay. Next slide is, that's the concept behind all these. We use plants and plant material as tools. So as we use a hammer for getting a nail into a wall, we use some plant material for removal of plastic material. Or we use some other living plant material for the removal of some pharmaceuticals or xenobiotics or whatever. So it's the point that if we know the problem, then we just pack our toolbox with the necessary tools to solve the problem and to get rid of this. The next slide normally takes a little bit longer to load up, but here it is. That's a little bit my dream, what I have, to use urban water bodies, not only for having recreation, whatever it is, so for people walking there and having fun there, but also to use these water bodies, for example, for urban aquaculture, and for that the water should be clean. And we can clean up this water with green liver systems or even with these plant yield systems to also enable urban farming, to have the water also on these urban farms and maybe also on urban green spaces, so that we get an overall nice environment within the city with clean water and products produced directly at the city itself. With that, I would like to thank you, Hamsamnida. And not to forget to mention, it's a collaboration work with my colleagues. And Yongsok already said it, I'm also involved in KIST Europe in the Korean Institute of Science and Technology. And since this year, we have a joint laboratory of applied ecotoxicology. It's a joint venture between KIST Europe and the University of Helsinki. With that, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Professor Lima, for your really comprehensive and interesting presentation, as always. Any questions or comments from the floor? Yes?
Thank you very much for a very interesting talk. I have a question that what is difference between your approach and constructed wetland system and the floating wetland system, and why you feel the need to name it green level system?
First of all, I like these metaphors. Yeah, green liver system, that's something which is appealing to people, of course. The main difference is that we work in a completely artificial system. We are not constructing wetlands where you have insects and fish and some other animals. We work normally, some music. We work normally in a system where we try not to have any sediments inside. So we try also to minimize microbial degradation, because we think let the plant do the work. Of course, we have bacteria on the plant surface, but that's...
But your ultimate dream of your last figure is moving towards that concept.
Sorry,
your last figure, which is your dream, that is moving towards that concept.
Yeah, we have to see how to solve these in my dreams, but it's a dream, you know. Of course, in that kind of stream you have some sediments, maybe or maybe not. It depends on your tree.
Yes. I think the earlier slide, Professor Lima showed the place that's in the Cheonggyecheon is our best president constructed it. I believe the governor might be interested, especially for policymakers. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so again, thank you for the great presentation. Thank you.